Taoiseach, last night we were reminded of the excellent public service broadcasting work that RTÉ does. RTÉ Investigates spent 5 months researching and exposing what are cruel and inexcusable practices in part of our dairy sector. This is just one of the consequences of the unprecedented expansion since milk quotas were lifted in 2015, which has very predictably resulted in an explosion in the number of bull calves, 500,000 annually. And it has resulted in them being treated as a waste product, valueless and disposable. Bull calves who survive beyond their first week and are not killed in a yard or slaughterhouse routinely suffer terrible abuse. They're kicked, hit with sticks and thrown around by the tail, ears and legs at marts. When they're transported to Europe, they're packed into overcrowded lorries and endure journeys of over 21 hours without even a drink of water. You have to ask, how was this allowed to happen? The answer, government policy. Why have we had such an unsustainable expansion of dairy? That is government policy. Why have cattle in dairy been bred solely for dairy efficiency and away from dual breeding? Because that is a direct result of department policy. Taoiseach, when pursuing this policy, a policy of intensification and so-called efficiency, what was the plan for the obvious increase in bull calves? As a country, we've always been so proud of our agricultural sector. It's the perception of Irish agriculture abroad that makes it so valuable. People perceive it as a country that has grass-fed cattle and that looks after its animals, all of those things. And this scandal risks destroying all of that, and not addressing it risks it even more. Most farmers agree that this is damaging and that we can't tolerate a situation in which hundreds and thousands of calves are being bred to suffer from their moment of birth. Taoiseach, I'm presuming that you accept that we need to move away from live exports. There are some immediate steps that we could take to do that. We need to incentivise the use of sexed semen. VAT could be removed on that. We had that in our alternative budget last year, but obviously a lot more needs to be done than that. A re-examination of breeding practices where it's just for so-called efficiency, and clearly existing laws about animal welfare need to be enforced, but that is not enough. Crucially, you need to acknowledge that a change in approach from blindly driving the expansion and intensification of dairy is desperately needed, not least just to protect the dairy sector, but all other sectors, because it is that green brand that is so valuable to this country and our exports that has to be protected. Taoiseach, do you agree?
Taoiseach, please.
Thanks very much, Deputy. At the outset, I just want to strongly condemn any cruelty towards animals. And the incidents in the clips shown by RTÉ were repugnant and have been widely condemned across the farming and dairy and industry sectors. The Department of Agriculture, Food and Marine has sought the footage used in the programme to commence an investigation into these events. As Deputy Cairns rightly said, the reputation of the dairy and beef sector rests on complying with high standards of animal welfare, and the vast majority of farmers, processors and other workers have a strong commitment to ensuring that animals are not mistreated. For sustainable dairy into the future, it's vital that dairy farmers continue to ensure high levels of calf care on farm, and that all those working in the supply chain continue to support high standards of animal welfare, particularly at marts and during transport. Any instance of such cruelty should be reported to the Department of Agriculture on its Animal Welfare Helpline, and I want to assure the House that it will take robust and timely actions in response to any evidence of animal cruelty. I think, Deputy, in response to your question, connecting animal cruelty to the expansion of the dairy sector per se is a little bit simplistic. Sadly, there are people who will mistreat animals, no matter how many animals there are, and that's the truth of it. Just as there are truckers who will break the road safety rules, no matter what they are, and there are truckers who breach the road safety rules carrying all sorts of things, not just cattle. And these are people who are breaking the law, and these are people who are going against government policy, because it's government's animal welfare policy and laws that they're breaking. It's the government's road safety laws and policies that they're breaking. So the people who perpetrated this are absolutely against government policy and against the laws that we pass in this House. In relation to the issue of sex semen, which the Deputy mentioned, there has been an increase in the use of sex semen, which allows dairy farmers to select appropriate breeding strategies for good quality replacement dairy heifers and to focus on dairy calf breeding for the rest of their calves. Sex semen now makes up about 20% of artificial insemination use, and we'd like to see that increase. We recently announced a world-first genotyping programme with an investment of 43 million over 5 years to genotype cows and calves, and that will give beef farmers accurate information on the commercial beef value of the dairy beef calves they buy, and will encourage dairy farmers to make more informed and better breeding decisions to produce better quality dairy beef calves.
Deputy Kearns.
First of all, on the investigation, I think that's very welcome, and everyone agrees on that, but it will do nothing to move away from live exports. And you might call it simplistic, Taoiseach, to say that it's the expansion of dairy, but it's also basic maths. We've had a massive increase in the number of cattle in the dairy herd, and therefore we've had a massive increase in the number of bull calves. So you can call it simplistic, but it's true. This scandal is a direct consequence of government policy that has pushed intensification and maximum production in the dairy sector. This failed model has also resulted in pollution of our pristine waterways, the degrading of our soil, and an increase in our emissions. Your colleague Simon Coveney was the Minister for Agriculture when milk quotas were lifted. In 2014, the year before that happened, he said the dairy industry had been operating under a straitjacket with the quota system. He also stated categorically that he would not allow a situation where the potential for growth and expansion of agri-food would be compromised by the setting of emission limits. The mantra has always been no limits, and that is why we're here having this conversation today. If you can't acknowledge that, nobody will have faith that you can address the issue either.
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach.
Deputy, I do appreciate where you're coming from, but I really think you've got this wrong, Deputy. You're making excuses for people. You're making excuses for people that engage in animal cruelty and break the law. You're making excuses for hauliers and truckers who break our road safety laws and laws in other countries by driving their trucks without brakes. You're making excuses for them, Deputy, and I think that's wrong. I think that's the wrong approach. It doesn't matter if somebody engages in animal cruelty, it's the government's fault. It doesn't matter if a trucker doesn't take his rest breaks, it's the government's fault. You shouldn't make excuses for people who perpetrate cruelty against animals, and you shouldn't make excuses
Deputy,
and you shouldn't make excuses for truckers that breach our road safety rules. It's totally the wrong approach.